My name is Steven, and I'll be presenting key issue number 1 in Chapter 6, Religions. Where are the world's religions distributed? Geographers distinguish between two types of religions, universal and ethnic religions. Universal religions, such as Christianity, attempt to be global, to appeal to all people, wherever they may live in the world, not just to those of one culture or location. Much of universal religions are spread through conquest, the action of bringing someone or something under domination or control, and colonization, the process or action of settling among and establishing control over the indigenous people of an area. Ethnic religions, such as Judaism, primarily appeal to one group of people that live in one place. Usually members within an ethnic religion share historical experiences or struggles which can create bonds. Ethnic religions use the process of relocation and diffusion, the spread of a cultural trait by people who have migrated and brought their traits with them. Currently, in the world, the top 3 existing religions are Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism, all being universal. Christianity is the religion evolving around the teachings of Jesus in Israel, and the belief that Jesus was the Son of God, the Messiah. Christians follow the scriptures within the Bible, the collection of sacred texts that Jews and Christians consider to be a product of divine inspiration. Love, faith, and peace are emphasized of importance in the teachings of Christianity, as it began in the Middle East, eventually diffusing outward and becoming a dominant religion of Europe and America. Hinduism is a polytheistic religion, the worship or belief in many gods, and developed from the Vedic religion, an ancient religion of the Aryan people who moved to northwestern India territory from Persia in 2000 to 1200 BC. Beliefs of karma, the belief that behaviors in this life affect your future life, and dharma, the righteous path, are the main ideas to Hinduism. Islam, a religion followed by Muslims, is based on the teachings of Muhammad, an Arab prophet who was said to be the last messenger of Allah, God. Those aren't the only types of beliefs out there though. Buddhism, Judaism, and atheism are all a part of the world's religions as well. Buddhism grew out of the teachings of Siddhartha Gautama, otherwise known as Buddha, the Enlightened One. The religion advised the followers to escape suffering and grief by following the right views, hopes, speech, conduct, livelihood, effort, and meditation. Judaism was one of the first monotheistic religions, the worship and belief that there was only one God, and follow the scriptures within the Torah, the first 5 books of the 24 books of the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible. Atheism is a belief that God does not exist. Many choose to go down this path because they choose to go off of evidence, just like agnosticism, which is the belief that the existence of God can't be proven. Christianity is the dominant religion of the world, branching from most of North America, most of South America, the bottom half of Africa, and the top half of Europe. Christianity in itself is 33%. Islam is the second largest, being in the top half of Africa and parts of Europe, being 22% of all religions. And finally, Hinduism, which is shown on the bottom part of Europe, is 13% of all religions.
Hi, I'm Mariana Montoya, and I'm going to be talking about key issue number 3 from chapter 6, which is religion. This chapter goes from pages 182 to 227. This key issue itself can be found in pages 206 to 217. The question asked in this key issue is, why do religions organize space in distinctive patterns? Well, religions organize space into distinctive patterns because each religion is different from the other, and with different views, values, and beliefs, the organization of space is different for each religion. Another reason why space is organized differently is because of places of worship. Places of worship draw the people of that religion towards that place, and therefore the space around that place is different than the space around other places of worship that are of different religions. These places of worship are physical anchors of religion. That's what draws the people of that religion towards them, and why people of other religions are drawn to their places of worship instead. This creates a pattern of religions being at a certain distance from each other, spread out across the globe. Some examples of places of worship are Muslim mosques, where the Muslims gather, Jewish synagogues, where the Jews gather, Buddhist pagodas, where the Buddhists gather, Sikh gurdwaras, where the Sikh gather, Baha'i houses of worship, where Baha'is gather, Hindu temples, where the Hindu gather, and many more among these lines. Another thing that also influences why religions organize space in distinctive patterns is religious settlements and toponyms. Yes, places of worship do have a really big influence on why religions organize space into distinctive patterns, but an entire religious settlement has an even greater impact since it covers a lot more land and contains a lot more people in them. That causes a really big impact because the people in that area are most likely to share the same religion and the same beliefs and views and also the same values. Toponyms are very important because how a place is named also depends on the people that named it. This also has to do with where the people came from and what religion they brought with them. And the religion that is brought with them along with that place, the religion is usually spread out across that area. Another very crucial part of the reason why religions organize space into distinctive patterns is administration of space. Many universalizing religions must be connected in order to ensure communication and consistency of doctrine. That is why many places of worship of a certain religion are at a certain distance from each other, creating a pattern in a certain space. Many religions do this even in the same areas, and there are many patterns, and they exist around each other all over the world. Sacred space in universalizing religions is also another reason why religions organize space into distinctive patterns. This is because an ethnic religion typically has less widespread distribution, while a universalizing religion endows with holy cities and other places associated with founders' life. This is because religions may elevate particular places to holy positions, and ethnic and universalizing religions differ in that aspect. Another example is the landscape in ethnic religions. This is because ethnic religions are highly clustered and closely tied to the physical geography of a certain place. This also ties down to cosmogony, the set of religious beliefs concerning the origin of the universe, because depending on this, and depending on what you believe created the universe, your opinion and your ties to the physical geography may differ. This changes the way that religions organize the space into distinctive patterns and causes space to be more clustered or more spread out.
And my last and final example for the way that religions spread out space into distinctive patterns is religious calendars, because depending on the part of the year that it is, spring, summer, fall, or winter, there are many people that have to go to different places, or they spread out more, or they go to, it changes the way that space is distributed basically for a small part of time. And since that happens, there's like a ripple kind of effect, and the space surrounding those religions moves a little bit, kind of, just for a certain amount of time. For example, when Muslims have to celebrate Ramadan, many of them go to different places and they gather together, and that makes the places where they were feel more empty, and the other people can slowly move around those areas more freely. So in totality, religions organize space in distinctive patterns because of the spread of religion that it has and the prominent features that come from the landscape where the places of worship are located. Then there is the type of attachment that the people have to a certain place on earth, and that's why more places are more clustered or more openly spread out, making the pattern different. Then there's the changing of the holidays and holy days and the differences in the calendars, which causes it to be different. Also, there's the types of honoring and holy positions, which changes throughout the year. And then also there is the spreading out of a religion over a certain amount of spaces and near proximity to have communication and to ensure that the doctrine is being spread out more.
In this map, it is clearly seen the organization of space into distinctive patterns by the different religions which spread the pattern all across the country.
I'm Emily, and I'll be discussing key issue 4. Why do territorial conflicts arise among religious groups? Before I answer, religion is an element of cultural diversity that has led to disputes in some places. The attempt by intense adherents of one religion to organize Earth's surface can conflict with the spatial expression of other faiths or non-religious ideas. So why do territorial conflicts arise among religious groups? Well, territorial conflicts arise among religious groups because one of the reasons being religious groups have opposed government policies, especially those of communist governments. The reason for communist governments to cause conflict is because communist regimes generally discourage religious beliefs and practices. For example, when the communists took over in Tibet and they sought to reduce the domination of Buddhist monks in the country's daily life by attacking the economic and cultural pillars of sustainability for Buddhism in Tibet. The Chinese communists destroyed monasteries and temples. After crushing a rebellion in 1959, China executed or imprisoned tens of thousands and forced another 100,000, including the Dalai Lama, to emigrate. Buddhist temples were closed and demolished, and religious artifacts and scriptures were destroyed. Another reason that territorial conflicts arise among religious groups because religious principles seen as representing Western social values were often opposed by groups in Asia. An example is Taliban and Western values. Much of the country's unrest has stemmed from competing visions of the role of Islam, contributing to intense religious conflict in Afghanistan, and elsewhere has been a resurgence of religion's fundamentalism. To clarify, fundamentalism is literal interpretations and strict adherence to basic principles of a religion. A fundamentalist group like the Taliban are convinced that its religious views is the only correct way, and this may intrude upon the territory controlled by other adherents, as well as those unaffiliated with religion, sometimes brutally, as has been the case with the Taliban. Once in control of Afghanistan's government, the Taliban imposed very strict laws inspired by Islamic values, as the Taliban interpret them as non-Islamic leisure activities such as playing music and watching TV. And another interpretation, homosexuals were buried alive and prostitutes were hanged in front of large audiences. Western values were not the only targets. Buddhist statues were also destroyed because they were worshipped as graven images in violation of Islam. The last reason territorial conflicts arise among religious groups is because long-standing and indestructible conflict among religions has been centered in Islam/Palestine, an area considered holy by Muslims, Christians, and Jews. Jews, Christians, and Muslims have fought for many centuries to control the same strip of land, which is the Eastern Mediterranean. All three groups trace their origins to Abraham in the Hebrew Bible narrative, but the religions diverged in ways that have made it difficult for them to share the same territory. Judaism made a special claim to the territory it calls the Promised Land. Christianity considers Palestine
the Holy Land and Jerusalem the Holy City. And Islam regarded Jerusalem as their third holiest city, with Jews, Christians, and Muslims trying to capture the most land, soon made the European Christians launch a series of crusaders, which led to the First Crusade, which then led to the Third Crusade. Then in 1229, a treaty ended the Sixth Crusade. In the conclusion of Key Issue 4, territorial conflicts arise among religious groups because religious groups have opposed government policies, especially those of communist governments. Religious principles seen as representing Western social values have been opposed by groups in Asia, and the long-standing and indestructible conflict among religions has been centered in Israel, an area considered holy by Jews, Christians, and Muslims.
This is the physical geography of the Eastern Mediterranean. The physical geography consists of narrow coastal lowlands and interior highlands interrupted by the Jordan River Valley. And this is where Jews, Muslims, and Christians fought for land.
Homosexuals were bisexuals. Jews, Muslims,
And dolls with holy chicks.
Within the
Hold on. Hi, it's your crusty bit.